Hey there, welcome to the first edition of Everyday People. Yet another show that's going to have take topics and break them down from an everyday perspective. And the first installment is going to deal with a question that a lot of modern day people are asking themselves. And that is marriage worth it? Now, I'm going to be reacting to uh, a video that is actually called "Is Marriage Worth It?" and it is about a valuetainment. There'll be a link in the description underneath there, so give that a listen when you can. But this is going to be very interesting in the fact that it's going to be an interesting take. And I got some very interesting reactions and opinions on it. But without further ado, let's get it started, shall we?
Cast episode 60. This is where finance meets romance, only here on Valuetainment, the #1 channel on the planet for entrepreneurs. My name is Adam Sosnick, and I'm here to help you men improve your status, your financial status, your relationship status. I want to see you win in life. Not, what do we always say? I want to see you get paid, laid, and do it your way. And speaking of getting paid and laid and doing it your way, we got an expert panel in the house. They're going to tell you how to handle your money, how to handle your relationships, how to handle your man, how to handle your woman. You know, Coach, you're gonna let these people know today.
We're gonna give them the real.
We're gonna give them the real stuff today. Yeah. If you have not subscribed to Valuetainment, go ahead and subscribe right now. Let's get this party started. So let me introduce our panel today because I've been told, don't spend too long on introductions. Get into the meat and juicy stuff. I said, we gotta know our guests, y'all. So anyway, with that being said, Coach Grant Adams, this is your first time on the show. Hafiz has been on the show. Ali's been on the show. But Coach, let me understand this correctly. You're a speaker of truth, from what I hear.
The speaker of the truth. I'm the Bruce Wayne of this, and don't forget, I'm the king of content in the space. That's what you have to remember.
There it is. Yes. So you're also an author of The Free Agent Lifestyle, amongst other books, correct?
Other books, The Evolution and 52 Things That All Men Should Consider Prior to Marriage. That's a long title, but it's called 52 Things.
Right, and the reason they call you Coach, like, I think it was Myron from Fresh and Fit. I believe he once described you as a defensive coordinator, as a strategy to protect men from women out there.
I'm also the Buddy Ryan of this. I'm on the defensive side of the ball. But I am the coach. I was a coach by profession at one point.
What did you coach exactly?
Women's basketball. This is why I know so much about women. I've traveled with women, flew, hotels, all of that. I spent time with a lot of women, and before you get started here, this kind of what leads me into knowing a lot of what goes on behind the curtain.
Gotcha. We're going to revisit that. These WNBA type women out there. Are they really women?
That'd be a good story.
We'll get into that. And then our friend Hafiz here from The Roommates. You know him, you love him. He hosts a hot podcast called The Roommates. What's your partner?
Chris Belo.
I haven't really spent time with Chris, but I spent a lot of time with Hafiz. Yeah. You also own a men's debonair clothing company called The Standard.
Yes, sir.
And if I could summarize you just want to help men improve in life.
100%. 100%. Yeah. No, I'm excited about being here. I gotta be a little closer to the microphone, and also you're really loud in my microphone. Not loud in my headset. You guys can take Adam down a little bit.
Turn me down.
You guys are killing me. But no, of course, man. I think to me the biggest thing that I'm really consumed with in this space is I feel as though there's a lack of actual quality advice. I think there's a lot of people who make content to make money, and that content may or may not be benefiting men in the long run. And so to me, I want to genuinely see lives transformed, and that's what we're excited about. That's what we're excited about with The Standard, actually seeing men's lives transform.
This man has a gift. Hafiz here. He has a gift for putting a whole bunch of words together and having paragraphs of things to say that don't say anything. Guys, be mindful. When you are in the debate with someone, you should be crisp, concise, and to the point. Clear, it's not crisp, clear, concise, and to the point. Make your point known in as few words or sentences as possible. And then be prepared to listen. I think that's what's missing with most of today's dialogue between people. People don't listen. They love to talk, but don't like to listen. So just listen. Let's get back into it.
Not just about a bunch of characters on the internet sharing their ideas. It's actual real human beings that you're seeing their lives actually improve, actually become better. And so to me, that's what I'm excited about the most.
Sick, brother. And we spent some time last summer in Miami. You had 50 suave-looking gentlemen in the club. We were at my bar, Bodega in South Beach.
Of course.
Came through. It was great. I mean, like when you're talking about, don't talk about it, be about it. You were with a crew of men that were all representing, let's just say it like that.
Of course.
And then Allie, you know her, you love her, you've seen her, wife, mother. Interesting story here. Former ICU nurse turned OnlyFans superstar. Proudly.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with it.
Exactly.
I get a lot of hate for it, but I'm very comfortable with it. And I've done a lot more since just propelling my OnlyFans career. I also am the CEO of WetSpace, which is a crypto adult platform. And so there's a lot of things that I'm doing now that are vastly different than where I was, obviously, 2 years ago.
No hate, but don't like. She can do her OnlyFans. She can get paid. More power to her. But I'm not going for it. And thinking this thought to its logical conclusion, her husband either A, doesn't care, or B, he's not the primary breadwinner, she is, so he has no say. Continue.
Was a suburban hockey mom, and so this is all new territory for me, but I feel like I wear it proud, and I'm kind of a different, fresh, alternative face to the industry, and I think people will be quite surprised with my past and my education and just kind of where I've come from.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of advice for women out there and for men as well. So I know we're going to share some of that today. You need to come through? Okay, all good. Natalia in the house. She's always here.
Hello.
You love her. You've seen her. You want her. People are DMing. People are DMing me. What's up, girl? Hook me up with Natalia. What's the deal? I can't go that far. Nat, fill us in on what you got going on, and let's introduce, and then we'll meet our panel officially.
Well, I first want to say welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's a beautiful Thursday here in this rainy Florida, down south. But make sure you guys have your pens, your notebooks, and everything ready to go. We have a really great lineup today, and I think it's going to be a lot of value given. And of course, if you're not already, make sure you guys subscribe, like, comment, and share, because this is about to get real feisty.
About to get feisty. Oh, wow. It's like a prelude right there. So, and real quick, in 30 seconds or less, if you would just give us your relationship status and how you make your money. Again, we talk relationships and money, finance and romance. So relationship status and how you make your money. Ladies first, go ahead.
Yes, I am a wife. I've been married for 21 years. I have 3 children, and I make my money through adult entertainment as well as through my other business endeavors, through WetSpace and running my own company.
Good. Hafiz.
Yeah, so married and make my primary revenue through the Roommates podcast.
And I didn't know, I thought you had a girlfriend. You're married.
Yeah.
Okay. How long you been married for?
About a year.
Okay, so this is all new.
Yeah,
this is why this coming. So congratulations,
Thank you
bro.
so much. Appreciate
I didn't know. I didn't catch an invite, nothing. Coach, go ahead.
And I'm single, bachelor, well, divorcee, and I make money through YouTube content and then coaching, book sales, and so forth and so on.
Got it. So divorcee. All right, so that's where we'll start this conversation, because I've seen a ton of your content online, and I appreciate a lot of it. I really do.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you talk about, you don't date, right? You talk about, there's a lot of stuff you talk about, but just real quick, how long were you married? How long you been single now?
Married for almost about 9 years. It was just just short of 9 years. I got out before the valuable 10-year clock in California, which would have been very deadly for me, so I got out right in time.
Financially speaking, that's where basically you get screwed 10 years?
You get screwed over at the 10-year and 1-day mark. So I actually saw the light, and I was gifted an opportunity to leave that union. So it was actually fantastic. Yeah.
And how long you been single now?
Since it's been about a decade. So
okay, gotcha.
I've been in these streets for about a decade. Yeah.
In these streets. How old are you now?
46.
46.
Yep.
Okay. Well, because you got the young face and the gray beard.
People don't know, man. People all of a sudden, they come on and they're like, look at this 57-year-old. And then I have other people say I look 32 if I shaved it. I don't care.
That's the whole thing.
I always tell people, look at my chocolate skin. That's going to tell you how old somebody is.
If I look at your face, I'm thinking 36.
Right.
Looking at your beard, I'm thinking 119. I don't know, brother.
Hey, man, that comes from, this comes from almost a decade of marriage.
Exactly.
And a couple of years of divorce. So that's what's going to happen for you.
Well, respect. Yeah. Well, because I've been watching so much of your content, I want to start right where basically when I first heard this, I was like, who said that? And then they said it was you. It was something called protecting your meat. Have you heard about this? Protecting your meat. And meat standing for your money, your energy, your attention, and your time. And basically you've said that all relationships are transactional and that meat is the value that you're giving to women. So break down what this meat is and how can men protect their meat.
Well, the funny thing, when you use that phrase, protect your meat, obviously people are going to think, what? You know
exactly.
what I mean? But I try to use that as a metaphor to say, try to show men where your value is. A lot of times people will give men an idea, there's other things that are included in this, but it all boils down to, especially when you get to a point of marriage, what is your meat, your energy that you're going to put in? Typically, men give energy to women. Women pretty much don't reciprocate that back. I've never seen many men that spend a significant time with women and then come out energized, even in the bedroom. Most of the time, they're going to probably fall asleep within 15 minutes. But in terms of attention, if you remove any of these things, if you remove these things, you lose the marriage, right? Time is a significant value for men. As a matter of fact, we call it, and also Napoleon Hill calls it, your most important asset. And many men will spend hours on end pursuing relationships, obtaining relationships, keeping the relationship alive, and then many times they will lose the relationship if they stop giving the time. Now, the money part of it, everybody knows it's all transactional. You know, you've had girlfriends, you've tried to pursue women, you're going to give up money. Now, it's not a bad thing that the relationships are transactional. So when I say relationships are transactional, it's not a complaint. Many people think it's a complaint, but it's just a reality, and we have to accept that reality.
Gotcha. Have you? So you've never seen Coach's content ever? Really?
I'm aware of almost everybody in the space, kind of where Coach is at. A lot of people, I may have heard ideas from other people, but I don't think I've actually sat down and watched anything from like online. I may have seen like videos or like reactions of certain people, but I've never actually sat down and said, okay, let me sit down and hear him. From my memory, it may have occurred in the past, but from my memory, I can't like quote ideologies or philosophies that he holds currently.
But when you hear someone say, all right, protect your meat, and you're hearing him break that down, what's the first thing that comes to mind to you?
It sounds good. You know, like I think everyone should protect their money. Everyone should protect their time. Right? Like, I think that sounds good. It's just, how is that fleshed out? That's what I'm curious about, right? Because I think sometimes, what I love about what you do so much, Adam, and I have to shout out what you're doing, is that you bring in people from different sides. You know, I'm really interested in, hearing more about your life. I think it's an interesting dynamic, mom and OnlyFans. Were you the one who sat down with Ruslan?
I was.
Okay,
I loved it.
So I love what you do, Adam, because what you do is you provide an opportunity from different people to hear.
Again, word salad. That's going to be the new word of the day, or I should say phrase of the day. Word salad. Because this man is a master of word salad. He takes a whole bunch of words, disjointed words, puts them together to convey his point, but says nothing at the end of it. And you're like, huh? Did he just say something? But I digress. Continue.
A myriad of ideas. I feel like a lot of times people on the internet sit in these silos of just one type of content, one type of information. And so to me, I'm very interested in hearing all the unique different ideas so that the men can sit down and choose what is actually the best. What is actually going to tangibly improve people's lives. Because to me, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's from me or Greg or Adam or Ali. If the information makes you a better man, makes you a better father, you may not feel this way, but makes you a better husband, if it makes you better, that's a win. I don't care who it comes from. And so I love the ability of unique ideas to being able to be discussed today, and I just hope the best idea always wins.
I love that. And here's what I'll say, and I appreciate that, Hafiz.
Again, word salad.
I'm not an ideologue, okay? I'm a person who I'm more of an arbiter of conversation, an arbiter of truth, an arbiter of dialogue. I want people to have conversations, and sometimes they might be uncomfortable conversations. Sometimes they might say, you know what, coach, you ain't no shit. In the audience right there, and the Hafiz, man, bro, I gotta tell you, respect, bro, but you're an idiot, bro. Or Ali, you're gorgeous, but you shouldn't be doing this. Or all good. Everyone, different strokes for different folks. But at the end of the day, what we want is the audience to get clear on what they want in life. That's what we say. We want to get you paid, laid, and do it your way. It's your one life. I don't want you to have to live a life that's not yours. Okay, and there's so many people walking on eggshells these days, and so many people that are just basically trying to transform what they should say or shouldn't say. And on a show like this, it's like, just do you.
And to be fair, to your point here, a lot of men are kind of pushed into one direction based on a few things. And some people say, hey, don't you want to get married? Don't you want to have kids? Mm-hmm. And a lot of men are uncomfortable with it because of what comes with it. And people will not really include what that is. And then he finds himself in it. And then he finds himself alone when it doesn't work out. The people that kind of told him to go that way obviously leave them, they leave him hanging. And that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. So it's a beautiful thing that now, in the first time in 70 years, men have the microphone. We have the power.
For the first time in how long?
70
What do you mean the first time in 70 years?
You're old enough to remember this. You remember Ricky Lake? You remember Sally Jessy Raphael? You remember Oprah Winfrey?
Yes.
At that time, there was no counter opinion. There was no opportunity for men to say anything, even if.
What do you mean? There was Phil Donahue, and there was
and you know
Dr. Drew has been around forever.
Well, as you guys know, those guys don't. Those guys typically, you know, in order to survive, they tended to pander towards the consumer, and so thus.
You're saying they weren't real men?
Well, I'm not saying they weren't real
Montel might hear this right now.
See, I'm not here to challenge anyone to a physical fight or challenge their masculinity. However, we know how to survive in those environments, and that means you can't be overly masculine. You have to present a side that's going to address the consumer to sell dishwater or dish shampoo and that type of thing. So what's happening is men had to create their own lanes, essentially jump on YouTube and other platforms to get the mic to be able to say what they want to say without being canceled. So this is the beautiful time we live in, because now we get to see it, even if you don't agree with it, you get to see at least another perspective. And it can't really be shut down, but it can be shut down.
I feel you on that. I will say that, I mean, as a dude, I'm with you. Like, I'm trying to be like, as a dude, yes, but also as like a host of a show, there's a lot of guys out there who probably agree with you, but if there's women out there, be like, this motherfucker just said that men have been muzzled for the last 70 years.
And they don't realize it.
And they don't realize it. Do you think that men have been muzzled, or do you think more women have been muzzled for the last 70 years?
I mean, I certainly don't feel like men have been muzzled for 70 years. I mean, I think...
We're going to fast forward this a bit, because I want to get into the should you get married portion of it. This looks about right. Let's go.
Oh, tell these women what's up, but women have a voice in this perspective as well, and they're kind of being the complaining behind the scenes. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I want everybody to understand. I'm going to look into this camera right here, so I hope you see me very well here. I want everybody to understand and remember that everything I say from this point, she backed it up. All right, so it's basically zero. All right, you have no hope, no chance. Past the 20 years, and that comes from experience. It also is the experience.
You have no chance of passing 20 years, you're saying?
No. You can pass 20 years. You'll probably be roommates, and you'll probably be overweight in a busted Pillsbury biscuit can, or you'll probably be the exception to the rule. But the data shows us, plus the experience that she expressed, that it's a very difficult thing. And this is what I want men to know.
Yeah.
It is very difficult. Many people will simplify it for you. They will say, oh, just do this and do that, and they will lead you on a wild goose chase. And that's my perspective. That's all that I offer. I tell men to not get married, especially when you don't have leverage. However, I also tell you, do not listen to people who simplify this. This is a very complicated thing that most people fail at miserably.
Got it.
And this is what I want people
Let me tee up Hafiz, because you used a few things there about not getting married.
Yeah.
Here comes word salad. I'm gonna let this play through its entirety before I comment on it, because this ought to be good. Now, full disclaimer, I haven't watched this beforehand. So we're gonna watch it now. We'll watch it with you real time. I'm gonna let the man speak, and then we're gonna break him down and rebut him if necessary.
Said sometimes you
don't have leverage.
Okay, if you don't have leverage, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And you talk about turning into roommates. Well, this guy is the roommate, the host of the Roommate Channel. When you're hearing this, you've been married 1 year. And by the way, this guy's a sharp, informed, very intentional guy. My assumption is he didn't just trip and fall into marriage.
He's seen myself before.
Okay, gotcha. So you've been very, you're a calculated dude.
100%.
Okay. So when you're hearing Greg say this,
Yeah.
and even when you're hearing Ali say this, how are you processing this
No,
information?
this is really good, and I'm excited about how this conversation can develop because I think you've maybe. Did you react to me and AMS's conversation a couple of years ago about marriage?
I didn't react to it. I didn't do a reaction video.
Okay.
But yeah, I made a comment about it.
Okay, you made a comment about it. Okay, so to me, I'm really excited about it, but it's also key to talk about experience. Experience shapes your view, right?
Yeah.
So a girl who's been abused by a lot of different men, she's gonna have a very cynical leaning view towards men. A man who's been cheated by business partners will have a very cynical view about having potential business partners. So it's also unique to talk about we have to be honest.
Yeah.
Nobody here is 100% objective. That's one of my arguments always with red pill stuff. They say they're speaking the truth. You're not a robot. You know, you have your biases, right? Call it for what it is. We all have our biases. I have biases. You have biases. Coach has biases. As much as we think we are, we have to be 100% honest to the people about our biases. If I'm an individual and I was divorced and I had a difficult experience via marriage, I'm going to have a biased opinion via marriage. Ali has a positive experience with marriage, so she can have a bias towards, well, great marriages can work, right? So similar to me, the people I admire the most, the people I look up to are married people. Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, my father, Pastor Mark Driscoll, people who I look up to the most, right? Long-term marriages, the people that I celebrate a lot. Long-term marriages. My father and mother have been married for over 30 years. Great, healthy marriage. So that's my opinion. My pastor, Pastor Heidi Lewis, was married over 25 years. So that's my worldview. And so to me, hearing what he's sharing, there is truth in that. Everything where everyone's going to share, there's going to be truth in it. Yes, if you, like my dad told me a very powerful point. I love my father. He's such a wise older man. He said the most important decision you'll ever make in your life is the one you marry. Yeah. And it can go one of two ways. And this is what I want the guys to understand. We're not teaching naivete, which is, oh, marriage is this perfect thing, and you just meet the one and live happily ever after. And there's no issues, there's no divorces. Right. We're not teaching naivete. Marriage can be the worst thing in your life. It can be an absolute living hell. And I guarantee you can go for days and for days, and you know so many different stories about people which marriage is an absolute living hell. But we don't want to teach being naive about the realities, but also we don't want to teach nihilism. Right? The other end of the extreme. Marriage is the worst thing possible, and the women are out to get your money, and everyone's miserable, and everybody's roommates, and everybody's this. Because there are some individuals, such as what Alex communicated, who are in happy, healthy long-term marriage, right? So you don't want to be naive, you want to be nihilistic, you want to be as real as possible. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And my biggest thing is that I understand that marriage is a very difficult thing to get right. And the same thing is like, I love how what you do is marriage and money, right? I think we're going to be talking about those two things today. Adam, you're a 1% man financially, right? That means 99% of people are trying to get to where Adam is. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling. Yeah. Their lives suck when it comes to money. Most people are struggling, but they're trying to get to where you are. That's how I view relationships. Most people are in really sucky relationshiip. Yeah. Most people, it's a day-to-day war, hell, the way work is, the way the gym is. But then there are some people who are having it at the highest of level. The same way nobody says, oh, well, most people are not going to be in the 1%, so screw it. You should even try. It's 90% of businesses end in 10 years. You should even try. We say if somebody's gonna succeed, why not you? It's why I love what you're doing. If someone's gonna be rich, why not you? If someone's gonna make money, why not you? Someone's gonna have a great podcast, why not you? So for me, I acknowledge that the top of the mountain is rare. I acknowledge that. But what I also acknowledge is that if somebody's gonna win, why not it be you? And how can we help as many men as possible get there? Everybody won't be able to get there, but how many people can we help get there? And that's what to me matters the most.
Got it.
Okay, I accidentally cut in the middle there. Sorry about that. Let's break it down. On a whole, he didn't lie. He just went around the block, down the street, up the corner, 2 towns over to come back and circle around to his original point. Word salad. But this word salad actually had an end to it. However, you could sum up what he said in 3 sentences. This is a man who likes to hear himself talk because he's wise, because he has his own platform, because he knows what he's talking about, because the camera's on him. Not necessarily a good look. It was just something I described to. But once again, to all the men out there, people in general, men in particular, make your points as quickly, as efficiently, and as short as possible. This man took up 5 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. And I can't honestly remember what we were talking about. Continue.
Preach.
I love that.
Now, when you hear something like this, obviously he's sort of saying, all right, I hear you, coach. Your marriage didn't work. You got out, thank God, before the 10-year mark. So you'd probably be a little bit more spiteful than you are. I'm not saying that you're spiteful, but you'd be even more spiteful if you're paying a ridiculous amount of alimony and everything you've been paying. But is there anything wrong with what if he's saying? He's basically saying, I hear you, coach. It ain't easy out there, brother. Like, life's tough. Marriage is tough. Making money is tough. Things are tough. But don't tell me that I shouldn't get married, or don't tell me that I can't have a successful marriage. How do you process that?
I don't think anyone says do not get married.
Yeah.
I think they caution people to say do not get married. If I say do not get married without leverage, that is a position, right, that you can change. Thus, if you read my book, it says once you get to that position, you can then make the decision. You'll probably come out better than going in it without it. However, this is what I will always say. When men do find that solution does not work out, they are left alone. There's nobody to help them. So people encourage people, hey, why not? Give it a try. But when you go bankrupt, when you lose your kids, when your kids are taken from you, when the courts kind of punish you for making this decision or punishes you for being a slightly better, higher earner, then nobody's there with information. Nobody's there with context. No one's there to help them. And I believe, not feel, I know, understand, believe, and I have evidence to show that men are left alone when they don't succeed in this endeavor. And that is the void that I feel. Because I can tell you, hey, men are alone in this situation. Men are homeless. Men are thinking about eating guns. Men are thinking about, they have no way out. Men are losing big time, and we're losing a fraction of men due to manipulation, due to people trying to, they may be hurt. A woman might be hurt in a marriage, or she might feel that she's not being appreciated. And then she throws a grenade in the room. What happens then? See, that's where I come in. I get to show you what happens when the grenade is there. And I also encourage you, you're not alone in this. A lot of people come to my content and they find out, oh, you too? See, before, as I said, 70 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, there was nobody presenting this side of the argument.
This side, I see what you're saying.
This right here. Nobody, they just left men alone and said, well, you must not have been hitting it right. Or you must not have loved her right. Or you must have abused the kids. That's what she said. She said that you were, and nobody came to this position. So listen, there was a void open, and I ran right
Yeah, so when you talk about leverage, break down what you mean by leverage. Are you talking in a marriage before you get married? Are you talking about a prenup? You're talking about a set of rules, guidelines? What's this leverage you're referring to?
Well, a lot of men, are looking to be loved, right? So a lot of men, the transaction is always men give, women receive. So in this instance, once men do a lot of giving, they may sacrifice, they may risk things, but they're risking the little things that they have. They don't know what they're going to lose in the future, right? So by that point, they will probably avoid a prenup. They might say, I don't need a prenup. I don't have anything, right? And so he'll get married. He'll build some things. Once the commitment is made and once the investment is made, then he has something. So then when they say, well, you better love her right, you better screw her right, you better appreciate her right, and he says, well, it's still not working, she's not happy. Well, then he knows he can measure how much he's going to lose because he now has leverage, but the leverage is attached to a marital contract. And then at that point, he can say, well, I don't want to lose my 2 or 3 kids. I don't want to lose my house. I don't want to lose my car. He knows then, and also he has no protection. He didn't get a prenup because he didn't have leverage. This is what a lot of young men in their 20s don't understand because they don't know what they're going to lose. They can't measure it.
Coach Adams speaks no lies, but I have a counter to it. His whole argument is predicated on the point that it's not if, it's when. Marriages will eventually break down, women will file for a divorce, and as a result, men are left holding the bag. Is he wrong? More times than not, no. Statistics show that women initiate divorce 80% of the time, and 90% of the time if they're college educated. So he's right. He's right on that. But my question to him simply would be, why? Why do men and women do themselves like that? I'll be back a little bit more later, but let's continue for now.
You're 40 and you've accumulated things and you have leverage, you have position at a company, and a woman says, hey, I want to marry you. And you will know what you're going to lose. And at that point, you can make a conscious decision whether to engage in a state-funded marital contract. Yeah. That's leverage. Most men get married without the leverage.
Did you have a prenup when you got married?
I was married at 28, 27, engaged at 27, 28, so absolutely not.
You did not have one. Nope. And if you ever get married again, would you get a prenup?
I would advise
Clearly,
every
yes.
man. I mean, listen, a prenup is somewhat of a protection. It's just something to fight over in court. If there's something to be there, she could just fight it, and now you lost on the money, right? But I did not. I would encourage men to do so if they want to.
Allie, when you got married, did you have a prenup?
No, and honestly, like just hearing you speak, I feel like you come from a place that obviously had a negative experience with stuff where you kind of, I guess I can't imagine ever looking into a marriage, like even going into the thought of marriage, maybe because I was so young and I didn't have to, with so much like guardedness. I feel like going into a marriage and falling in love with someone, there's a little bit of a leap of faith there, and so sometimes when you make it too transactional, I don't know, I feel like for me it would take a lot away, and maybe again because I was so young, we were kids ourselves, we didn't have anything to protect. But I feel like maybe that mindset is what's quite toxic for people that aren't able to find love, is when you constantly live in that, well, she might screw me over, I got to protect this. Like, how can you ever fully let yourself like go and submit to just being in love and like letting that guard down? And
I find no fault with her either. Don't like her lifestyle, don't like her choices, can't argue with her logic. Marriage is a roll of the dice, at best. Marriage is a choose your own adventure. And I'm sure you guys remember, or if you don't, there was a bunch of books that came out in the 70s and 80s called Choose Your Own Adventure, where the hero was embarked upon a quest, and based upon decisions that you made would affect the outcome. Hence, choose your own adventure. Should you go right? Should you go left? If right, this happened. If left, this happened. Or, as I like to say, the nerd speak, the if-then statement. If you choose this action, these are the consequences. If you choose that action, these are the consequences. And I truthfully don't understand why people have such a negative connotation of marriage. Is it a contract? Yes. Is it state funded? Yes. Back in the day, you had marriage as a form of furthering the bloodline. People chose partners based upon based on that's what I was looking for. Status. You got married to someone who was better than you to afford your offspring a better chance of life. That was then. The playing field has somewhat leveled out since then. So that's not the end all be all as it used to be. That being said, why can't we get back to that? Well, okay, wait. I don't mean when I say let's get back to the days of old, because those days are gone. For better or for worse, they're gone. And another point I want to bring up is a very simple truism. You cannot unsee what you've seen. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. And it will affect you going forward, for good or for ill. So, if you're going to go and you want things back to the old days, that ship has sailed. You can't go backwards. Hence the term progress. To move forward, not regress, to move backwards. Because if that was the case, you'd never grow old, you'd never die. All you have to do is wind the clock back a couple years. And also, knowing now what you know, going back then, you could have the power to make better choices. And everybody will be rich. That's not a bad thing. That'll be one major headache, one major obstacle eliminated to the human race. That being said, what does that actually mean? You have to excuse me, I kind of lost my train of thought. What I'm going back to, because once again, I do apologize, I tend to ramble quite a bit. Because as things pop into my head, I speak them. But getting back to this whole marriage worth it thing, it's all subjective. I would say, hand on heart, it's a personal choice. It's a choice that should be taken with a great deal of gravitas, and it should be dealt with the importance that it is, because it is, in the abstract, the rest of your life. What you do leading up to that day, what you do during that day, and what you do in the days post-marriage, post-wedding, past the wedding day, will profoundly impact the rest of your life. And here's my personal take on the whole thing. I've been married for 26 years, give or take. They haven't all been great. Full disclosure, I've screwed up, she screwed up. And there are days where I'll be thinking, I got married for this. But then I think, if I didn't marry her, I wouldn't have my children. If I didn't marry her, I wouldn't have the house I live in. If I didn't marry her, I wouldn't know the people that I've met, whose lives I've impacted. If we don't get married, I'm not the person that I am today. And I kind of like that person, truth be told. I like the fact that I am a well-rounded individual with the viewpoints and ideals that I have. You will have to do what you think is best in the long run. Weigh the pros and the cons. Let them marinate in your head for a while. Really think about them. Form your own conclusions, then act on them. Will you get it right? Not always. Sometimes you can do everything right and the outcome still comes up messed up. But in those things, you can honestly say to yourself, I tried. I really, really tried. And that will about do it for this episode. Once again, Valuetainment. You will see the link in the description for the whole podcast. It's worth a listen to. There are things that you'll agree with, there are things that you'll disagree with. But once again, let all the viewpoints marinate in your head for a while. Come to a conclusion. And then use the power of 3. Or now, power of 4. Like. Subscribe. Notification bell. And comment and say. And share me. You like what we're doing? Leave a comment. You don't like what we're doing? Leave a comment. We can't grow if we don't know. And those 4 actions will push the content out to more and more people and will be the catalyst for bigger and better things down the road. Once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for spending time with me today. Enjoy the rest of your day and or night whenever you tend to listen to this. Until next, this is OBJ saying peace to you all and good night.